Hello, lovely viewers. This is Kwadjo Bilson, and we are with me on the NK Show Season 2. And today is going to be very amazing because there's a special edition with no one than our own Pastor Sammie Obeng-Poku. Hello, sir.
Hello, man. How are you?
Fine, thank you. And you too?
I'm blessed.
We thank God. You are really welcome to the NK Show.
Thank you.
And I pray that today our interview and our discussions will be inspiring to others who will be watching.
Sure.
So, viewers, that's how you have it. We have Pastor Obeng with us. We are going for a very quick commercial break. When we come back, we'll dive deep into the interview.
Hello guys, my name is Eduhima and I want you to keep watching the NK Show.
In your mind, I will sign a Juma. Isaiah won't kuto, won't kono shy Gina. Couldn't need the iron I took for the iron back to yeah, sorry. I couldn't need the iron I took for the iron back to yeah, sorry. Oh, yeah, the table.
Hello, welcome back from the quick commercial break. So today we're going to dive deep straight. We are going straight to the interview session with Pastor Obeng. After that, we are going to elaborate a little bit on Easter, since we are in the Easter festive season. So, Pastor Obeng, please, who is Sammie Obeng-Poku?
Thank you for having me once again.
Welcome.
Just like you mentioned, my name is Sammie Obeng-Poku.
Okay.
I'm a pastor of the Christian Center Service Church inside Kumasi. I'm a singer, I'm a songwriter. I'm an author, but I've not published my books yet.
Okay.
I have a few books coming up.
Okay.
I'm a real estate developer by profession.
Okay.
But I'm not working with that. I'm doing ministry full time now.
Full time. Okay.
I'm married from a family of 7.
Okay.
Last one.
Wow. Okay. That's nice. So where do you come from?
Anytime people ask me this question, it's funny. I think that there's a statement that I always make. I tell people that I am a child of God. So if you ask me where I'm coming from, I'll tell you that God cannot show. The Bible tells us that our conversation or our citizenship is in heaven.
Okay.
So if you ask me where I'm coming from, I'll tell you I'm coming from here.
Okay.
But my parents come from two different places. My father is from Kumasi. There's a place in Kumasi called Aprad. It's on the Tech Road.
Yeah.
My mother is from Fidiem in the Hafu region.
Okay. All right. Okay. So your childhood, where did you actually live?
My father was also a pastor.
Okay.
God rest his soul. He was a pastor in the Sammie Obeng-Poku church. And in those days, they had to be moved around. So I remember that we stayed in different places. I was born here in Kumasi, but we had to move to Kwadjo in the Eastern region. I think we stayed there for about 10 years. 10 years there. And then we came back to Kumasi when my dad passed out. So I stayed in Kwadjo for some time. Then I moved to Kumasi. And I've been here since I think 2002.
Okay. So what primary school?
I attended, back in Kwadjo, I attended Plateau International School.
Okay.
Then when I came to Kumasi, I attended Lighthouse, JHS. Lighthouse is something called church. They have a very school.
Okay.
Then I went to Kwadjo school. And from there I went to Kenya University. Then after that I went to the West African Advanced School of Theology for my theological degree. So about schooling, I think that's about it.
So what did you study in church?
I read general arts, economics, geography, elective maths, and I read government. Then like I mentioned earlier, I studied real estate in Kenya University. And then I went to do a Bachelor of Theology at WAST.
Okay. All right. So now let's move to when you started ministry, when you got to know that you had the passion to sing.
To answer that, I would say that I personally don't remember the exact time that I can say I discovered I could sing.
Okay.
As far as I'm concerned, I began singing very early because my family, everybody in the family does something related to music. My brothers, I want to play the keyboards, I want to play the drum, I want to play the bass guitar, my sisters also sing. My dad used to play the keyboard. So at that young age, once we go to church, it's more like our family is the one that is running the church service. We are doing all the things. But then I joined other groups. I think I remember in senior high school, secondary school, I joined Sanctuary of Grace, one of the biggest choirs at that time. And then from then on, I went to Gospel Explosion in Kenya University. My year group, that is SHS, we founded the Levites group, it was in Kumasi. And then a couple of other ministries here and there. But I entered into active full-time music ministry, I think in 2015. So professionally speaking, I think I've been doing this for about 6 years, 7 years now. So in 2015, I felt led to start something on my own, record my own songs, call people to worship with them, etc. And it's been good. It's been good from that time.
Okay, thank God. So starting active ministry, how was it like? How was the feeling, the challenges you faced?
Everybody has their own set of challenges. I remember that I wasn't particularly interested in starting this thing. The story of how it began was actually fun. Like I said, I was in some other groups, but my senior pastor felt that, I mean, what you do in church is always powerful. Why don't you take a break from all these movements here and there, focus on what you're doing, and let's see what we do with that. So I think after 2015 I put together a song that God gave me. I had been writing songs starting since 2006. So some of the songs were that I felt, let me just do it. So one of my very good friends, one of the pioneers in my ministry, became my band leader. He was my junior in the university, so I've known him from 10 years. We sat down and said, he was beginning a band at that time, and I felt like, well, I'm also thinking of starting something, so let's put our two ideas together. So we rehearsed, we go to a few arrangements, we'll try our hands on some few things. It was like we're just learning and playing around with it. But anytime we shared them, people were responding to them.
Okay.
So I think I remember I recorded my first song with Joe Metal in 2015, and You Hallelujah.
Yeah.
And then when I brought the song back to Kumasi, I had saved all my national service allowances and review manager and to record a song. I think I spent about 2,000 CDs those days, about 7-8 years ago, to record just that one song. We didn't have enough money to promote it or push it or anything. I remember you send it to somebody, the person says, this song is a student song, it's not a public song, so if you don't give me money, I won't play it. Me too, the money is finished. I used all the money to record it. So my father said, let's do a small event in church. And more like launch or outdoor the song. So we put it together with our Christmas program called Praise and Sense in our church. We launched it. It was a blessing. And then when the engineer took the files that we had recorded some of them. As we go on, I'll tell you about some of the things that happened. Because a particular song I put on my album called My Hint. We recorded that song way back in 2015.
Okay.
When the engineer left the concert, he got attacked by armed robbers. So they took away the data, his computer, everything. We lost everything. And then we had to now start all over again. And then after that, we had some people who also look down upon you. They think that you are too young. Yeah. Some of you are students. As a, like they say, it was more per school for them. So sometimes you go for programs and you know what you carry, but they wouldn't be willing to open their doors for you to minister. But we thank God for how far He's come with us. Today, those same people now want to call us and work with us.
That's very interesting and inspiring. So we just go for a very quick commercial break. When we come back, we're going to continue. So hello family, let's go for a very quick commercial break. We'll be right back.
Hi, people of God and lovers of music. This is your brother, Eben Visvat. I want to tell you that keep watching the NK show. And you can also follow them on all social media platforms with the name Gospel Online TV. So please be blessed as you keep on loving them by subscribing to their YouTube pages and also watching them anywhere on the social platform. God bless you.
Now
Hello viewers, welcome back from this very quick commercial break. We are still here with Pastor Sammie Obeng-Poku. So Pastor, as you were talking, you were talking about your first single that was with Joe Metal. So how did that song come about? What was the story behind it?
And you hallelujah. I think so. I say this thing to people who ask me about how I write my songs. I believe that songwriting is a gift.
Yeah.
Okay. There is no particular format to people who say, "Oh, I slept, I had a dream." Everybody has a way they write a song. But I sincerely believe with all my heart that songwriting is a gift. The way somebody can get up, pick a pen, and start drawing, it's an inherent gift. God gives songs to people, or gives them ability to write songs like that. So I can sit down, pick a pen and start writing without looking at anything at all. And New Hallelujah was written, I think, around that time. At that time, I talked about 2015. I don't remember exactly how I wrote it because, like I'm saying, there's no particular story. There are other songs that came to me with stories, but this particular one, I think I just sat down to put my ideas together. And then what I normally do is that anytime I get the inspiration to write, I sit down, put it together, record it, send it to my vocal director or my band leader. We meet in the studio, put our ideas together, record them, then we send it out to the band and then the vocal team. We meet together to rehearse, and then that's it. So for New Hallelujah, it was one of those songs that I sat down to just put my ideas together by the music, and then we recorded it, sent it out, we polished it, and then I sent it at that time. Joe, I think Joe had opened Reverb early on, so I sent it to him and I said I want to come and record the song around your end. But then he sent me to Osei in Accra, Francis Osei. He produces some of my songs sometimes, and so we recorded it in the studio in one day, one whole day. I remember that experience very well. I went for Joe Metal's concert, and then I think it was on Sunday. So we went to Accra on Sunday after church service. But then I was traveling for a tour in Europe. So we had to sit down, I think, from Monday, the whole of the day, to record the song the whole day. I hadn't eaten the whole day. So if you listen to that song, you realize that my vocal strength was very weak. I think when I was finished the song, he said, if I had enough time, I would have made you do this thing again. But he was traveling, so we had to do it like that. We had to boost on it, and then we brought it back. And then it's a blessing. And let me share this with you as well. Hopefully this year we'll put the remix of that song out. The remix will bless you. It's fantastic. So watch out for it.
Alright. So how many songs do you have to your credit now?
I don't actually know of head. I have one EP.
Okay.
I have one album.
Okay.
And then I think the EP has 6 songs.
Okay.
The album has 14 songs.
Okay.
But there are features on them. There are also other people's songs that we sought permission from them and we put it on our album. Because like the tribute that we did for Mama Esther Mitchell, like this. It's not my song, I did it. So to count them, you have to take my time. But I think singles, as we have released them for public domain, should be about, I think about 6.
Okay.
So New Hallelujah and Song of the Yahweh, it should be about 6.
Okay, so I was coming to the tribute medley. So I quite remember on Instagram, Mr. Joe Metal posted a part of it, and we were all eager. We were telling him to add the link so that we can go get the song, because I don't actually know, but the moment you just hear the song, you feel like you want to listen to the full thing. So I don't know how did that song come about.
It's funny. Like I said, I didn't write that song, but I have a personal connection to that song because my childhood was a little bit tough.
Okay.
These days, sometimes ministry is a little bit relaxing, not in terms of the hard work, but by the grace of God, things are changing. People are now beginning to appreciate that when you are working for God, you have to be honored, etc. But in those days, it was difficult. My father was a full-time pastor. My mother had also left her profession as a professional teacher to join in ministry. They were doing full-time ministry. When my dad died, it was difficult for us a little. And we're quite a number. Me, together with all my siblings, we were about 9. But we lost 2 of them along the way. So my mother had to raise all these people and take care of their schooling and their stuff. And then along the way, like I said, I lost my sister. So when we were going to the funeral, my mother used to play my church songs in our house all the time. So those songs grew up with me. I heard them, and they became a part of me. When I went through secondary school, things were difficult. Sometimes you have to stay back after class. When others I go to the dining hall to go and eat or dinner. I remember I would lock up my. If anybody who knows the choir, there's a building called the Soul to perform on. I would climb up, close all the shutters, and lie on the floor playing from about 2 p.m. after class to like 5 p.m. There's no food to eat. If you go to the dining hall, you don't have a cheat because your fees haven't been paid. You can't be allowed to enter. If you go to the dormitory, there's no food in your transport, so you have to resort to fasting. It wasn't fasting by chance, it was fasting by choice. You don't have an option. And those were the songs that encouraged me in those times, knowing that no matter what was happening to me, God had a plan. Back then, I didn't understand what I was even singing. I was just singing the song to myself, praying with it. So, fast forward, when we wanted to record the album, I felt like, no, I can't tell my story without putting the songs there. So, it was unrehearsed, it was spontaneous. I think we did a mic toss where we recorded one of the songs called General. So, my babies were just displaying their vocal prowess here and there. When they had finished, I said that some of us, we can't do what they are doing, but we can do this. And I began to sing that song, and then the audience took to it. It was amazing, amazing. So when we came back to the studio and we were working on it, my videographer said, also as I keep working on these videos, shout outs to Niyama, he's watching us. This thing keeps blessing me. Let's put it out there. So without my notice, he just cut a small portion of the video, and he has access to my pages and everything. So he just posted it. Then I think after a day, when we came back, it had over 2,000 views. It was about 10 minutes. So people were copying and they were sharing here and there. People were asking me, who is this? Who is that? Who is this? Where's the full video? And some of my big brothers like Juventus copied it. They also shared it. It was all over the place. People were just giving me pressure. Where's the video? Where's the video? I told them, why not cover by? Work on the full video and let's release it. And because I wanted to, I think I discussed with my band leader in Single that we had to. So between him and I, we knew that we would do that stretch, but we hadn't rehearsed it. So we went to see Mama Stinameche and we wanted to invite her for the program so that our secret plan to do it will come on, and then we'll honor her. We had a very big citation for her and a plaque for her. Then we'll honor her. So she received that invitation, but unfortunately for us, she had to travel to the US around that time, so she couldn't come. And I'm very good friends with her son, Jason. So I called Jason. Jason came to pick the citation on her behalf, and then we released it. And when the woman heard the song, she was so blessed. She called me, she prayed for me, she blessed me. I was so honored. I think the first time I met her in person, it was something else. I broke down in tears. I was on stage. I went for a program with the House of Faith Ministries, and she was also on the bill to minister. So she ministered before. When I got on stage, I stood by her. She put her arm around me. She prayed for me. That day, I couldn't even minister properly because I was so emotional that day. And it's been good. I think if you go on my channel right now, that's the song with the biggest hits because it blesses people in several ways. And people who don't even know me, but they know that particular song and that video. And when they see me, sometimes I remember there's a shop on my stretch. I went to buy something there, and after buying everything, the lady who was attending to the shop was looking at me and asking me, please can I talk to you? I said, okay. Then she said, I want to show you something. Please, is it you? The moment she said that, I was laughing. I said, it's me. No, God bless you, but I've been playing this thing in my house. And there are countless number of testimonies I have received from that particular. If I share some of them with you, it will blow your mind. There was this, if you look at the video very clearly, there's this young lady in the video who's very excited.
Okay.
She's just smiling and laughing. Apparently, I didn't know her until later. I've not met him, but the guy who does my decorations and etc. He's called Richie. He knows that lady, and he told me that the lady is married. She had been looking for the photo album for some time, and the thing had not been coming. So when she was coming for the program, she was expectant. She was very hopeful that God, I'm entering into this covenant. He said, go for this minister's program. Let this miracle happen to me. So when we began to sing that song, she was all into the song. She was praying with him, and after the song, the testimony she gave birth. And I didn't know her, so I think a few weeks to my wedding, we had some very difficult times as we were preparing for the wedding, during the lockdown, the ban and all those things. So I was working with the designer. He said, oh, so may I say, yes, this lady in your video wanted to speak with you. This is a testimony. And all of us in the car, myself, my wife, the designer, my friends, all of us were so amazed. I had goosebumps all over my body. And I felt that was God's way of assuring me that keep doing what you have to do, like it's in place. I know people who attempted suicide. They heard that particular song, watched the video, they threw away what they were going to drink. People who were looking for jobs, countless number of testimonies. People who have been healed, a lot of them. And it just keeps making me know that God is doing something with the little effort that we have put into it.
Okay, maybe someone hasn't heard the song, so let's just play it for you to listen to a bit of it, so we'll be right back.
song sung by the legendary Reverend Mrs. Esther
I hope you were really blessed by the song, and I also have one surprise for you with the song he did with Madame Eunice Kofi. That's the Nkwa. That song was also a blessing. I think I heard it during Easter time, and quickly I went to our choir and I was like, we have to do this song for this Easter, and we did it. And so, what was the story also behind that song?
So, Nkwa is just like the way New Hallelujah came. But I think that this one, there's a little twist to it. When we were recording the album, I said to the people that I believe in writing timeless songs, songs that people can relive over and over again. So we have put together all the songs we have written. We have 16 of them. We even took some of the songs out of the album. But I told them I think I wanted to record something that will really speak to people about what it means for Jesus to die, to be buried, and to rise for our justification. So I was praying about it, and then I sat in the car. I would go to the studio to meet PK that day, and then the melody kept ringing in my spirit. So I was just humming it in the car, and I picked my notepad. I began to write. By the time I go to the studio, I had written the song. So I sat down with him saying, we put our ideas together, and then that was it. And interestingly, we didn't rehearse with Eunice.
Okay.
I sent her verse to her, I think via voice note, and then with lyrics attached. And then she sent it back to me with like piano in it. She did it with Martin Jima. They sent it back to me, and that was it. We didn't rehearse it. It was nothing. She came for the show, I think it was on Sunday. She came to Kumasi on Saturday. We didn't have enough time to rehearse. Too much pressure here and there. So the first time we did that song together was on the day of the recording. And she nailed it. Eunice is that excellent. Yeah. She's that excellent.
I remember
she nailed it.
The one she did with Empress.
Yeah.
Very fantastic.
And that was how I got to know her from that Empress. We met in Obuasi, I think, 2 years prior to my recording.
Okay.
Maxwell Jamres program, making this expand once. And then we took it off from there. We began to contact each other, and I took her number. We were talking here and there. And she came to Kumasi a couple of times to do events. Anytime she comes around, she calls me, we meet up, we share ideas, we have fun. She's that open and lovely time. And so it was beautiful. And we've remained close since then. She's one excellent, one fantastic woman, and her sound is different. Anybody who knows Eunice knows that her sound is very different. I remember in 2019, I went for a program in Accra with Royals of Hope, Samono Presby Church, and she was pregnant. I'm sure when she watches this, she will laugh. We had to do the same song on stage, and her energy was amazing. Somebody who was pregnant, heavily pregnant. Eunice is just amazing. She's just fantastic. Shout out to you, Eunice. God bless you.
Okay, so as we are on the Easter part, then let's continue with the Easter part. I want us to discuss something little about Easter. What are the importance of Easter to Christians and to the world as a whole?
You see, people don't sometimes take their time to understand the rationale behind the things that we do. I remember my wife was telling me that I think somebody, I forgot who it was, but when it was Palm Sunday, she was writing an article about the triumphant entry and those things. And she saw that as she went through her WhatsApp status, all people were talking about was the fact that we're going to prepare Palm Sunday. It was Palm Sunday. And that was what inspired her to write. And so I'm saying this because sometimes we don't take our time to reflect on the significance of some of these things.
Yeah.
I don't know whether to say thank God or whatever, but this year I'm not sure that the Kuru will go okay. Anytime you hear Easter, people are thinking about good, but that is not the essence of what we are doing. It is a time for you to sit down and analyze and realize that God decided to offer a substitute for your sins, to lay down his own life as a ransom for your sins. And when he rises from the dead, what he means for you is that God has now made you one with Christ. When Jesus was about dying, he referred to them as his disciples. But if you go to the book of Luke, the Bible tells us that when Mary Magdalene went there to present spices to preserve his body, he made a statement. He said that, don't touch me, for I have not yet ascended to my Father and your Father. Go and tell my brothers. Now, Jesus never spoke like that anywhere in the scripture prior to his death and resurrection. He referred to them as servants or disciples or friends or whatever. But when he dies and he comes back to life, he refers to them as brothers. That is to say that by the death of Jesus and his resurrection, he connects us to his authority and to his inheritance. He now sees us as co-heirs. So the Bible says that we are joint heirs with Christ. That statement should mean a lot to you, because when you say somebody is an heir, you are referring to inheritance. An heir is somebody who inherits something, not based on what he does, but on who he is. Okay. For example, if your father leaves you property, you will have rights to that property simply because you are your father's child or your father's son. And so Christ is telling us that we are heirs with him. We are the ones now inheriting his possession as sons of God who are equal. And that should mean too much to you, and much more to you than the partying and the holiday. We don't take our time to reflect, and I think that it's important for us to understand that that is the complete essence of history.
I think yesterday when I went to the barber shop to get a shave, there was an argument that God is a wicked God. Being the case that why should he know that Satan will cause us to sin, and he has given us a decision or a choice to choose between him and Satan. So I want to ask you, is God a wicked God or is God a loving God? And can you kindly explain this? Because many Christians are being confused with this issue.
You see, Jesus said something. He says that you do not know the scriptures nor the power of God, simply because you do not read. People who say God is wicked don't know what they are saying simply because they have not read the scriptures. Look at the character. Jesus said to the people, even you who are men, who are wicked, when your children ask you for bread, you don't give them stones. When they ask you for fish, you don't give them a serpent. And he says, if even you who are wicked know how to give good gifts to your children, how much more your Father in heaven? People don't understand God's character, and that is why they think that God is wicked. The Bible says every good and perfect gift comes from the Father of lights. So if you see something that is bad, obviously, by what the scripture is saying, it did not come from God. Now, when you say this, people will refer you back to the Old Testament. And they don't understand what the Old Testament is. The Old Testament is just a covenant and a shadow of the New Testament. Now, look at this. The New Covenant is in the similitude of the Abrahamic covenant. I may be a little bit technical here, but pardon me because I want to explain something to you. Look at this. God comes to Abraham and tells him, I'll give you this, I'll give you that, I'll give you that. And then Abraham says, wherefore shall I know this? And God says, let's enter into a covenant. Now, when God gives you a promise, it is something in the future. But when that promise moves from a mere promise and enters into covenant, it becomes a fact. It is binding by legal procedure. So God says, I will heal you, or I will do this. It's a promise. But when God says to you, I swear by my name, I will do this, it is not just a promise, it becomes a fact. So the moment that thing happens, it moves from I will to become I have. That means that it has been done. When God enters into that covenant with Abraham, what he's simply telling Abraham is that if I don't do this for you, as I have said, I cease to exist. Now, look at this thing. Abraham went to Abimelech. He lies of fear of death that Sarah is not his wife, but his sister.
Yeah.
It's a half truth because in those days they married their half sisters. Now, Abraham lies, but because Abraham and God are in covenant, God goes to Abraham Abimelech's room and tells him, if you touch this woman, you are a dead man. Why? When Abraham is weak, God will have to show up for Abraham because they are now in covenant. Fast forward, when God brings them into that same covenant and he delivers them from Egypt and they are going to what we call it, the promised land. Check your scripture very carefully. You realize that by the time they left Egypt, all the way to when they came to Mount Sinai, they were complaining, they were grumbling. God never killed anybody. Why? They were under a different covenant, the Abrahamic covenant. God was merciful to them in spite of their wrongdoings.
Yeah.
But the moment they entered into a new covenant where the law comes in from Mount Sinai, God is now judging them based on works. So God is not the one who's killing them. But because they are not operating on God's standard and they are falling short, they will have to suffer the consequences of their sins.
Yeah.
So anytime somebody says God is wicked, they don't understand what they are saying because they don't understand the covenant by which they are operating by. If you are operating by the new covenant, then God says, I will be merciful to their transgressions and their sins will I remember no more. But if you choose to now justify yourself by your works, you will have to atone for your sins yourself. And that is where punishment comes in because anybody who sins will have to suffer the consequence of their sin. But anybody who believes in Christ and his sacrifice has their sins atoned for by his sacrifice and by his death. So that's the difference. God is never wicked or unjust. Because if God decides to punish you for your sins, it is called double jeopardy in law. You can't punish the same crime twice. If he punished that same crime on Christ, he can't punish it on you. But the question is, which one do you choose to believe? And that is a simple thing I can say. God is never wicked.
Thank you very much. I think you are learning a lot today. We'll just go for a quick commercial break. Let's turn ourselves around and come back.
Yeah, Juma share nema hunkom. Fadel ye weja ne Juma. Ekwana wu redwe muyi na wo somfo nenke fado. Hey family, my name is Pastor Alfredo Usechere. Please keep watching the NK show. The Lord bless you.
Welcome back, welcome back. Continue to like, to share, and to support us. That's all you can do for us. For people to get to watch this video, to watch this interview, and also be inspired and also learn what you are also learning today. We are still here with Pastor Sammie Obeng-Poku. So, Pastor, when did you become a pastor?
Officially in 2019.
Okay.
But you see, our system is such that once you enter school, they refer to you as a student pastor.
Okay.
And so, but they give you that title somehow. But officially, I graduated from the Bible school in 2019. But you see, let me also address this issue. Ministry is in your heart, necessarily or fundamentally. Ministry is in your heart. We only go to school to acquire knowledge and to get equipped to do what you are doing.
Yeah.
I'm saying this because I've heard people say it looks like nowadays all the musicians are turning to pastors. I don't fault them. Ministry is about it's in your heart. Your calling is in your heart. And it's not in the title. However, I think it's important that if you genuinely and if you are convinced that you want to do this, what I would say is I get trained for it, study for it. My friend Ismail said something that I have never forgotten. He said that, you see, one of my favorite preachers in this country is that man, very anointed man. He preaches so well. Now, he never went to Bible school, but he's a fine preacher. I think about a year ago, he said that one of the things he regrets doing is that he didn't go to school for what he's doing. Why? Because to date, he's written close to 100 books, and not one of those books have been taken by any seminary as a theological material, because in those circles, it's not what you preach that they take hold to. They are looking at what you have studied for, your academic qualification. So I say again that if you want to do ministry, especially pastoral ministry, it's good to look for the anointing, good for the prayer, to receive grace, but also make sure that you are studying for it. Take your time and study. It will help you later. It will give you that balance. Because sometimes you just want to excite people or tell them something that will make them happy. But theologically, it may not be right. And you see, those things can affect people's foundations biblically. So study for it.
So what was your first stage you stood on to minister?
Wow, how can I remember this? There's been many years ago. So many years ago, sorry. I don't remember. But like I said, we joined different ministries as we came along, and so I think as at that time, the biggest platform I had to minister on was, I think, Sanctuary of Grace. I think so. Those days, concerts were one of the biggest in the mass. Even in Ghana, because at that time we didn't have contemporary choirs like that. The system. And there were many of us who come on stage who were about close to 100. So it was amazing. I think that would be those days. But now, I can't even remember. We go for events, sometimes outdoor events. About 6,000 people there. Sometimes indoor events, 3,000. I don't remember.
So what was your first event you organized yourself?
That was my single launch in 2015.
Okay.
Yeah. I knew I had to do that album launch, the single launch in 2015. And then 2016 we did some in the first edition. We had Joe Metal. Joe Metal is like a father to me, like a big brother to me. I respect him that much. Anytime I have any challenge, I don't understand. I can speak my phone call. He will give me a few guidelines here. And then we did that in 2016. So that was our first public event, more like personal event. And then we've been doing that successively, I think, for 4 years now. In 2019, I couldn't do it because I was out of the country for school. And then in 2020, because of lockdown, we couldn't have a concert. We did a virtual album release in July. And they did so, I think we had about 20,000 people, which was so. But hopefully this year, as we go along, we will bring back the in-house concerts.
So maybe people have been meaning to ask you this question, so let me ask. So how is marriage life? How has it been? How has marriage life been?
It's fulfilling. When I say this to my wife, she laughs. I am that kind of person who, when I set my mind to do something, I want to make sure it's done. Then I take it off my checklist. This one's done. I can now focus on that. The decision to marry was one of those things. I felt that no. I told myself at a particular age I'll get married. 2, after completing seminary and coming out of Bible school, I wanted to marry. So once I was done with school, school is done. The next thing, let me get it done. But I think that it's been good so far. I was telling somebody yesterday, sometimes you're talking about things, you didn't forget that you're married. Because you eat what you eat, you wear what you wear. My pastor says that if you're a young man, you are working and you are stable, just marry. You're not with you, you're always there. The only difference is that now somebody else is in your life. And so you have to be careful of your decisions. You have to be able to tell the person where you are going, where you are, etc., etc. But it's powerful because the Bible says 1 shall chase 1,000, and 2 shall put 10,000 to flight. The 2 didn't chase, but they are making people run away. So there's that power in unity. You have somebody to think when you are down. There's somebody immediately there to encourage you, and etc. It's been amazing so far.
So what have you seen? Has there been a change in your life since you got married?
I think I am much more calmer now. Or I would say measured.
Okay.
In those days, when I say those days, there are not so many years ago, a few years ago. Like on a holiday like this, I'll just go and enter into the studio and start working. You go for morning and sometimes you come home as late as 1 a.m. But you can't do those things anymore. I remember we have a new song coming up. We're working on the song in the studio. I have to come home I think around 12:30. My wife's a nurse. I think she went to work. When she came back, I wasn't in the house. She was calling me. I wasn't answering because I was in the studio there. I was working. So when I came, I saw a lot of this call. I said, today I'm in trouble. But it's encouraging. Those days when you are coming back to the house, at that late time, you have to make sure that you have to call ahead of time to see them on like the main door. But now there's somebody inside to come open the door for you. It's refreshing. I posted the video on my WhatsApp, and then one of my very good friends, George, the drummer, for somebody, he said, "Your wife will beat you. Stop recording." It's amazing. It's amazing. Nothing changes necessarily, but like I said, there's more unity, there's wisdom, there's the coming together of resources, there's responsibility. You can't do anything you want. That's
Okay, please can you kindly put out your social media handles and where we can get your songs?
Okay, so my handles are all the same. Sammie Obeng-Poku. Sammie is spelled S-A-M-M-I-E. Obeng-Poku is O-B-E-N-G-P-O-K on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Sammie Obeng-Poku. Those are my platforms, and then my YouTube channel is also Sammie Obeng-Poku, the same spelling. It's all in capitals on YouTube. And let me use the opportunity to address this. Sometimes you see people, what's the word? Impersonating us. Send this donation to them. Forget about it. You don't ask money from people on social media. If you want to do something like that, it will come from our official platforms. Okay. And the funny thing is that the people who do those, sometimes they send some of those things to me. So I'll be there and then, "Hi, my name is Pastor Sammie Obeng-Poku. You don't know me, but I know you." You're telling me I'm true. I don't know myself. It's amazing. So please don't fall for any of those things. Go online, check out the videos, share them. Let it bless people. If you also want to access my music, go on to all the digital platforms, Spotify, Apple Music, these are everywhere. Check out for the intimate album this day. It's doing so well. And listen to it, it will bless you. Subscribe to my channel. There are many things coming. We are putting together some worship projects coming very soon, so watch out for them. And we have a new song coming with one of our fantastic artists in Ghana now. I'll keep the identity for some reason because we are still working on it. But it will bless you, hopefully, at most in a month or two.
Okay.
We have some new work coming out, so it will be good for you. Bless you.
Okay. Before we end, one medley also did that. I think is it Mama's songs?
Mama's Mornings.
Yes. Can you just give us a bit of it?
The song or
yes,
the story behind it?
No, the song.
Let's see. My story no bahima na metu aye jum ebradi ne menyum my story no bahima na metu aye jum. Those are the songs I grew up listening to. Mother will sing them every time. Sweet Pain Joe, she was singing them. And we thank God for women like that.
Yeah. So, what advice are you going to give to upcoming musicians, pastors, those who are looking up to you and others in the ministry?
The first thing I'll say is that be grounded in your purpose. Know exactly why you are doing what you're doing. Don't do it because everybody's doing something. Or there's pressure on you to do it, or you think that you just want to come out and be seen. You see, there's a difference, a big difference between being seen and being viewed.
Okay.
Don't do it for the likes or the interactions. Do it because you feel that you are called to. Because that is what will sustain you when things get tough. And trust me, this thing we do is very tough. Very tough. By God, we have access to some of these big men in our society. I'm referring to ministers. And sometimes, when you sit down to have conversations with them, they will tell you that don't do this if you're not ready for it. So the first thing I'll do is be grounded. Know what you have to do. Number two, surround yourself with people who are genuinely happy to see you succeed. It's very important. One of the people that I normally thank God for in my ministry, two of them. If I want to mention names, I may skip somebody, but I want to take them and just appreciate these two people. One of my very good friends and brothers is in China now. He's called Obeng-Poku. He used to be my manager before he left for medical school. I've known him since senior high school. He went to prep. I went to Boko High School. Surprisingly, we are very close. One of the people I can go to sleep and forget about everything, knowing that this guy has my back. And he was in my vocal team, he was singing. But I felt, Kwame, you can do much more behind the scenes, because when we go for programs and you are on stage, and a lot of things get undone. And he was so happy to move from the stage and go behind the work.
Wow.
We had concerts where in 24 hours to the concert, we had about 70% of the work undone. There was no money, there was no this, there was no. And I was worried. He would say, go and sleep, go and pray, something, but don't come here. By the time you get into the auditorium to come and minister, everything is done. Then number two, my personal assistant, Naked. She may not be happy for me to say, she's older than I am. But the way she sometimes has to go down and serve me, it's amazing. She sometimes does that to the insult of people. Some people are, and she's one person, if you're not getting the work done, she will ask. She doesn't care, she just do the work. And I thank God for these people, they are so amazing. And by extension to my entire ministry team, my band, the vocalist, my music directors, my spiritual father, my second career now, my wife, my big brothers, my manager now, Mr. Sue, a lot of them. I mean, some of my covenant brothers. Even when we are doing this particular interview for belongs to one of my sometimes they want to call me as a father, but I see them as my younger brothers. I'm not that old. Mr. Benanza, his engineers are there working with us. Statue. Wonderful, wonderful. So like I'm saying, surround yourself with people who are happy to see you succeed. And then the third thing is that once God is the one who's called you to do this thing, you will have to make sure you are trusting Him 100%. Other than that, you will give up. And you see, God is not like men. God has His ways, and His ways are always higher. So if you don't learn to trust God, you will struggle and you will give up. But in times when we have come to a place where we are at our wits' end, we don't know what to do, we don't have money to do the things we want to do. But our faith is completely in God, and He always makes a way. Let me share this with you as we close. In 2017, I hosted Francis Sam. I hosted Uncle Ato. These two big men on the same platform. CCC Auditorium, Soul City. I'm saying this thing to just encourage somebody watching us. We had a budget that was very huge. Now, the program began at 5 p.m. We had made all the publicity, etc. And then it began to rain. And I don't know, surprisingly, every single year for some of them, that particular day it rains. But the place still gets occupied. I don't know how God does it. So after the concert, people came from 5 p.m. and we had so much hectic time in this and that. So the program delayed. When I came on stage, it was around 9 p.m. So the first part of the audience came and then they left. And then a different part came. There wasn't a two event program. It was one event, one combined event. After the concert, we had a lot of bills to pay. We were running into tens of thousands. We didn't have any money. Then I got invited to a program. I won't mention the person's name for reasons best known to me. Now, I ministered for him. I didn't even see him. Okay. Then he called and said, so if you blessed us by you put our program in a certain light. It made the program take off very powerful. So when he saw the flyer, he said, oh, I like Uncle Ato. I like his ministry. I want to support what you are doing. So send me his bill and I'll take care of all that he has to do. So hotel, accommodation, etc. I put all these things together with Francis Samuel's bill as well, and I sent it to this man I'm talking about. Then he said, I will pay for it. So he sent somebody, he's outside once. He sent somebody with a check. The person came all the way to give a check to me. I went to cash a check. We paid for it. But we still had excess to pay. Then he said, let me know what is undone. Then I was in communication with him. Then he said, oh, take this, take that, take that. By the time I realized we had finished paying, God just sent us one man. And He helped us to fill out the clubs. And every single year till date, anytime I want to do something, and He gets to know it, He's there to support. When we're recording our album, look at what God did. I didn't get any one man coming to say, I'm giving you X amount of money. But look at what God did. I had been out of the scene for about 6 months. So no events, nothing else in school. And when I came back, people wanted to experience you again. So this is what God said to me. I realized that God opened so many avenues. I was actually begging to let some of the programs slide because I was so busy. I think I ministered on the trot for over 2 months. Almost every Sunday, Fridays, back to back. And by the time I realized we had enough money by the grace of God to produce the album without owing anybody. So God's ways are different. Sometimes He will send people, sometimes He will open doors for you to allow you to work. One of those doors was the fact that, just like I mentioned, Joe called me and he said, I do this thing with MTN every December, there are carousels, but this year I want to give that slot to you. So I went there, I ministered. They gave me some very good amount of money. I invested into my project. So God has a way of opening doors for you, but yours is to do what you are doing and to trust Him. And that is so 3 things. Be grounded in your purpose. Number 2, surround yourself with positive people who are happy to see you succeed. And number 3, trust God completely.
So do you have any last words for us all? That's all
So like I said, let's keep trusting God. Be positive in your approach. I will say this, like I feel it in my heart to say, no, don't skip the process. Don't cut corners. I might get into trouble for the people say, but I'll say, sometimes it looks as if we are in a hurry to be seen or to be known. Okay. Or say my engineer said something to me, but he says that for you to be able to do what you are doing and master it, you have to be consistent at it for at least 7 years. At least. And I realized that as I follow his advice, we are getting to at least 7 years since we began doing this thing. And the reception is different. Things are rising. And I feel in my heart that it can only get better. Okay, so don't be in a rush to be seen. Keep doing what you are doing. Be open, be very positive. Don't cut corners. Do what you are doing. Be consistent at it. Keep working hard. And look up. It can only get better.
God bless you. God bless you. God bless you for having me today. So family, there you have it. That's Pastor Sammie Obeng-Poku. God bless you. Continue to like, to share, and also please, as he said, you can go to his online all digital stores to get his musics. Follow him. You have to support us. Just support us. It's about the gospel, and no one else will do it except you. So God richly bless you for supporting us. Meet you same time next week. Bye bye.
We don't sing these songs anymore in our churches and our homes. But I remember when I was young, there were times my mother would have to come and wake you up by sprinkling water on you. But when they call you, you don't get up. But I remember very clearly, there were times when she would not do anything. She would enter into a certain corner in her room and she would begin to sing some songs. And in your sleep, you could hear the songs from afar. And automatically you wake up. In the morning, you hear her singing a song like this. Masariano Pahima Nametu Aye Jubo Masariano Pahima Minyamie Nametu Aye Jubo Masoriano Pahimo Nametu Etwaye Jubo Etwamawo Masoriano Pahimo Minyamie Nametu Aye Jubo If it's a Ewurati Niminumo Ewurati Niminu Asariano Vahima Namatu Anajime to Joma Jesus One away. Can I get some witness here tonight? May you are here. If he's a mahon, they know. Every ampa, me. She understands what I'm saying tonight. Media mahon, they know. Jesus Christ, sit up and my meet you fool now. Media sit up and my meet Lift your hands, let's worship him tonight for some few minutes. May they ask as I hand over the microphone. If he say, oh no, not me go, not me ba. Anadi Saminio, Yaminamo, Minsuro. Everybody say, Aquanamo. Arani Jimmy Tata. Media Sidabema. Mijifu. And when things are tough, you hear her sing a song like Oriented. But I'm in a million yo. I am Titibutai, a radiona. Oh, yeah, Titibutai, Minabiona, yo.